ekoso o mai Ghana mu enu nti no mai madwen say me yi wu frim abla chese nneoma ekoso nti ne nyina me pese wo hu de ekoso na wote ewo wasum ne se ne be ya wo kwa bonten a obi ka nso atumi akabi enu nti ne de ekoso o mai Ghana mu no ene de atwegu nyina wo social media abefo ntafidie so nyina yenkotie ne nyina bra na mmom ansa na no mesrew subscribe share like na comment emame.
We take viewers to what John Mahama's transformational policy is about. It's important that we explain to people what the 24-hour economy is. And I wish to say that the 24-hour economy is not an entertainment economy. It's not a choba economy as people have posited. What the 24-hour economy is about a deliberate policy of John Mahama and the next NDC government to encourage and support businesses to run a 24-hour system by running a 3-shift system. And so we must know that the overriding aim of this is to solve the challenges of high unemployment. And so the outcome of this 24-hour economy will be jobs, jobs, and jobs for young people. And for over 30 years, we have been doing the same thing with the same outcome. And you know the saying, you cannot keep doing the same thing and expect a different outcome. And so looking at how low our country has come, looking at how all the macroeconomic indicators have just gone down the ditch, looking at how today Ghana is being used as an example of how nations should not be governed. It is important that anybody who wants to form the next government must come out with a transformational policy to give young people and the teeming people of this country that hope. And so that is why we are bringing the 24-hour economy, mainly to support and encourage businesses to run a 24-hour economy with a 3-shift system to provide the needed jobs. Now, the second question many people have been asking is that in this 24-hour economy, what are the areas that you expect to cover? And we anticipate that we should cover areas like agro-processing, manufacturing, construction, sanitation and waste management, transportation, retail systems, and most importantly, selected public services that run very essential services for this country, like the DVLA, like the passport office, and like the ports. Because you will have some systems or some public systems which provide very essential service to the people. And this 8-hour system is not working. And so for us to have a maximum output and move the economy from a high unemployed economy to an export-led economy, you must begin to bring some transformational shift. And that is what the 24-hour economy will. These sectors are not exhaustive, but I know that I will not have the time. So it's important that we state that agro-processing will be affected, manufacturing will be affected, retail businesses. Yesterday, I closed from a meeting at 10. By the time I came for my car from my office, I didn't have fuel. I had to drive all the way back to Airport Shell before I went back to my house in Tema. And so it's important for people to understand that this is coming to enable us to build that economy which will bring jobs. Now, people are very excited about the policy. Many people, where we went in the 3 Bono regions, a lot of people and young people said that this is the game changer. And so they ask, what are some of the incentives, or how does government intend to incentivize the private sector to bring into fruition this 24-hour economy? We intend to do that in 4 ways, Annan. The first is to provide improved security. Obviously, we cannot have a 24-hour economy without improved security. What it means is that we must make the existing police structure more robust and increase efficiency. And we must recruit more police people or policemen to be able to give us the needed protection we need. So there will be increase in employment. And this would also lead to increased protection. The next support is going to be the financial support.
These are fundamental supports. Fundamentally,
yes,
for this particular policy.
For this particular policy. So the second is financial support to selected businesses, so that where we have a comparative advantage in producing certain goods like agricultural goods and whatever. You know, Ghana, we export our rice paddy. So we are going to focus on specific industries that need the needed government support. And the NDC has a track record. The NDC established the Ghana Exim Bank, the exports and imports, which was calculated to support businesses. Under this government, they are giving it to Wuntumi and the rest. Wuntumi, they are the beneficiaries of Exim Bank. They can't even deny it. Wuntumi. So we are saying that the bank which we established to support the various sectors, this government is misusing it, giving it to its regional chairman. We would not do that. We would do differently. And it will not just be something that we are giving money out. It must be to selected industries that have the comparative advantage so that we can have value for money. Now, we are also saying that the next support we will give to businesses are the tax incentives. Annie, you cannot have a 24-hour economy where your overriding, aim is to create employment without giving tax incentives. Now, these tax incentives will be targeted. They are not tax exemptions that will be given to in-laws like Nanado has done in this government. We are going to give it to the businesses that will need actually to improve. Now, there is another good news, and I'm excited as somebody who understands energy. We are saying that if you look at our electricity consumption in Ghana, after 10 p.m., what we call the peak period is over. And so there is a need to give businesses the right incentive, which is what we say that we will give cheaper electricity. Well, how are we going to do it? We are going to do that through what we call time of use tariff, which means that we are bringing smart meters to configure your consumption. So the price you consume in the morning, which is the normal 8-hour shift period, is different from what you will consume in the evening. Because you see, since the inception or since the announcements of this policy, we have been engaging a lot of relevant stakeholders. One of the major things that the AGI said is that the major cost for businesses is high electricity. And so if you want businesses to produce morning, afternoon, evening, midnight, it means that their costs will go high. And many will want to reduce costs. So with this time of use tariff, what is going to be is that it becomes a great incentive for businesses who are using electricity in the night, because you are running a 24-hour economy. And these 4 incentives will go a long way to support businesses. Now, having announced this and having stated what we intend to do, there are lots of people who are criticizing the policy even without understanding the policy. Some of them, the criticisms are from good hearts, and we are happy to explain and engage. Some of them, they simply don't understand the policy. What are we saying? The first criticism I have heard is that, oh, this policy cannot be implemented because it has to be legislated. That there is, in fact, the Vice President is on record to have said that there is no law in Ghana that says that nobody should do 24-hour economy. So it is nothing new. I think that the Vice President should take water. I have even been concerned about how he's been shouting on platforms. Sometimes his BP. We, devoid of politics, we wish him well, so he should stop shouting and talk, especially when he's using a microphone, so that people can understand. First of all, no government policy is legislated, and nobody is forced through law to implement a 24-hour economy. In fact,
I was actually going to ask you that the 24-hour economy, is it like some policy sitting somewhere?
I said it.
Hold on, that we want to pick and fix in the Ghanaian economy, or it's a system that we just want to create, considering maybe the demand for it. If there's a demand for it, then you can actually supply. So if the economy is looking in a certain way as it's looking now, we want to create a system that will invite people to operate within that space of 24 hours.
Yes.
That is what it is.
Yes. I told you that the 24-hour is a deliberate governmental policy calculated to encourage and support businesses with the aim of providing jobs. Because there are lots of research that shows that the rate of unemployment in this country is too high. In fact, the national security has said that that rate of unemployment is a threat to national security. And every year we are bringing graduates. Every year people have to find jobs to do. And so what we are doing is that, you know what? The 24-hour economy in itself is not new. In fact, it's an emerging economic model. I think it emerged in very recent times, such as 2017 or so, when London, Sydney, Dubai, the US, as for the USA, it's been around for a long time. Okay. But there is a deliberate attempt to now encourage a 24-hour economy. Why? Because, for instance, the statistics shows that in the US, their ninth economy alone contributes to 30% of their employment. So what it means is that without that ninth economy, 30% of the people who are currently working in the US would have been unemployed. In the UK, for instance, 19%. So what it means is that without that ninth economy, 19% of the people who are currently employed would have been sitting home. So it's a deliberate economic policy which is calculated to provide employment and invariably supports development. And so you don't need to legislate it to be able to do that. That is why the government says that it will provide the needed incentives to encourage those who want to do it. And President Mahama has been saying that this policy is voluntary. As a business, you sign up, you enjoy the governmental support, because every business and every rational business wants to grow. And so when you have such a deliberate policy, they will want to sign on to. And so you don't need to legislate it. Now, the weakest argument I've heard is that, 24-hour economy, it already exists in Ghana, so we don't need it. Annie, I think the people who say that, genuinely, they are bereft of ideas on how to manage this country again. If you claim that we have a 24-hour economy already, meanwhile, from 2017 till now, unemployment has doubled from 8% to 14%. And so if you are running a certain system and your unemployment is doubling, why would anybody in their right senses would want to oppose any policy calculated to drive employment, calculated to drive import substitution policy, calculated to give young people in the country hope? You know, then they say that, you know what, this thing, you cannot even do it because there is no demand. And sometimes when I listen to some of these things, I just say that I know we are all doing politics, but let's keep quiet sometimes and listen to people's policy, maybe a little further. We are a country that imports everything. In fact, our importation into this country is over 90%. Everything we consume, from the clothes, I'm very sure that as we all sit here, from our shoes to our hair, okay, I have a natural hair, but Annie, I'm sure your hair and the shoes, the clothes, everything is practically imported into the country. Why? Because there is demand for it. Recently, government gave La Bianca, a member of the Council of State, some, waivers Later, the OSP found out that these things were fraudulently done and even imposed fine. So if government can give La Bianca interventions to import frozen foods to the tune of billions of cedis and collapse poultry, we are doing the reverse. We say that we want to empower the local industry to feed the demand so that instead of importing 90% and producing 10%, it will be the reverse. Yes. So let nobody deceive us that there is no demand.
Responsibility of creating the environment to enable the 90% production.
Exactly, that is what it's about.
And then you can give that tax
support and incentives to these businesses, because you see, engaging many business people and speaking to President Mahama on various stores, they are saying that the reason we are not expanding is that our cost of production is so high. So what it means is that you have businessmen, including NPP people, importing a lot of goods into this country at a cheaper rate. So instead of buying my mother calls it Akuko Falls. Akuko Falls is 300 cedis, maybe for a pack. When the local poultry farmer produces it, because of the cost of the feed for the poultry, his may come to 500 cedis. And as rational consumers, if you are going to buy chicken, one is 300 for a box, one is 500 for a box, you will obviously opt for the 300 without asking where the 300 and the 500 is coming from. So what we are saying is that it's important that we give these people the needed support, because the demand is already there. Toothpick, everything, even phone case, we import into this country. So if we can, support local industries. And
that's for the production sector, example.
Yes.
But how about, let's say, the services sector? I heard over the weekend, Martin Pebu, lawyer Martin Pebu, making reference that even the courts can take advantage of this 24-hour economy. Explain how, they can also, double their steps in rendering the judicial services. However, it means that it will put a lot of responsibility or pressure on the government to create that environment for the judicial service to be able to operate within that space. So, a service provision like the judicial service, how are you going to?
So Annie, that's a very important question, and that's a good concern. You see, the judicial service as we have it today, one of the reasons why I'm a practicing lawyer. You take a divorce case, which is supposed to be one of the simplest cases you can ever do. Sometimes there are no properties. This is only a matter of children. So what happens is a matter of custody. And you are spending more than 2 years in doing that case.
On a case.
If you charge that person 20,000 for the duration of the case, it means that on the average, the lawyer is not even earning up to 500 a month on that case. Why? Because at 3 p.m., the judicial service, they close. You can't file your process. Sometimes the judge has about 20 cases for a day. He sits on 10. His back is hurting him. He gets up and goes. And then you have to take adjournment for 2 weeks. So when that happens, when your justice delivery system is so slow as we have in Ghana, you affect investment. So investors will now put in arbitration clause. That's why the government of Ghana, because Godfrey Damit didn't write the written submission, we lost $172 million because they went to arbitration. They don't trust our judicial system. One, it's too long. Two, they have issues with judges, biases, and what have you. So when you solve this issue, even if the courts were working at 8, and different judges were doing what we call motions, and different judges were doing trial, we will cut the cost of litigation even by 50%. And that is a huge thing for the big economic situation. But you see...
But that would demand, putting in more revenue in that sector.
Yes, because when you file cases, you pay for it. It's not free. Any case you file, you pay for it. When you get judgment debt, you pay 3% of the fees you get as execution levy. So the court is one of the avenues for, raising revenue for the government. You recall in 2021, government increased fees and charges. The fees for the courts were also increased. So it's not as if when you go to court, you don't pay anything. You pay a lot of money. Sometimes they even calculate the value of the money you are.
And the akoti the akoso ye the ninso akwakosh ya sanso the aso ate. And to also comment now the bepano no the go amam. The waka fa obi a fegu comment section wo emma me. Ye becken kind and so amal kama.